This is a presentation on Muslim cultural influence, how it impacted the country, basically Sri Lanka, and basically how in every field the Muslims of Sri Lanka have through trade, through interaction, intermarriage, all that, how we have influenced Sri Lankan culture. So it's not going to be about so much about history, right? Because I am a popular writer. I deal with a lot of subjects which have actually basically multidisciplinary in scope. So I get complex, topics which are academic, and give it to the popular readership for them to, ponder and learn something. So that is my objective even in this particular presentation. So without much ado, let me get started right away. Okay, can we get to the next slide, please? Okay, so now first, before we get on with the presentation, we have 3 or 4 Muslim groups that have actually come settled here in Sri Lanka. One is the Moors. Okay, now when we say Moors, right, I'm sure about 96% of the Muslim population are Moors. Okay, of course there is an argument that whether it's of Arab ancestry or Tamil ancestry, there are various arguments. But when you look at the multidisciplinary approach to it, right, a multidisciplinary approach with genetics, linguistics, archaeology, epigraphy. Epigraphy means basically inscriptions. And even language, even our Moor language, we say Umm of our mother. So the basic terminology is derived from the Arabic. So what I'm saying is, even though there are various arguments about it, the core group of Muslims who settled here were Arabs. That is why you will find, in the coastal areas, Maradana in Beruwala, Alutgama, Jaffna, all over, why did the Muslims settle in the coast? Why did they settle in the coast? That is obviously because they were descended from Arab traders. Traders who came by ship and who traded in goods. And then subsequently they went interior. So basically, the core of the Moor community of Arab ancestry, right, that is a fact, right? But of course, over time, what happened was they married Sinhalese and Tamil women. And a lot of people came from India, right, the coastal Moors. So over time, the Moor community basically assimilated all these groups. And if you are looking at it genetically, I'm sure much of it would be South Asian ancestry. But I am talking about the core group that evolved into the Moor community, which obviously of Arab ancestry. That is clear. Okay. Coming to the Malays. Now the Moors number about 2 million persons. Malays are generally descended from mainly Indonesian exiles and people brought over, right, by the colonial Dutch government, right, who was mainly as soldiers and also princely exiles. So that's why in Sinhala we say Jaminisu. Jaminisu means what? Jaminisu means people who came from Java in Indonesia. So it's not really Malaysia, though subsequently there were groups, soldiers who came from Malaysia, but very small. Right. And then Memons and Boras. Okay. I have written a book about the Memons, so I was able to study them in detail. So the Memons came from basically Kathiawar in Gujarat, western India. But originally they came from Sindh. From Sindh, because the Memoni language is a dialect of Sindhi. So they migrated southwards and came to Gujarat and so on and migrated to Sri Lanka. The word Memon itself comes from the word Mumin, because they were converts. They were converts from a Hindu caste called the Lohana caste, who were traders. And then we have now they are roughly about 20,000 strong people, the population wise. Then we have the Boras. The Boras are about 10,000 persons. They are Shia subsect. And actually the word Bora, comes from a Gujarati word which means trader, Vohru. So in Hindi and all, sometimes it becomes B, the B becomes B, in the Eastern Indian languages. So that's how the word Bora came to be. Okay, I just gave you a rough idea so you know the background, what the communities, Muslim communities in Sri Lanka, who influenced local culture. So I will now run you through the rest of the speech. Next one, please. Okay. So, okay. The Muslims, Sri Lankan Muslims are basically, they came as traders. And for trade, you need to have a peaceful environment, right? Now in North India, the situation was different. In North India, it were invasions. You know, Mahabund of Ghazni, then you have the Mughals, they were all invaders, right? Who invaded North India. In Sri Lanka and South India, the dynamic was different. It was mainly peaceful infiltration as traders, right? So that is why, unlike in North India, you will find in North India a lot of ill will between Muslims and Hindus. But historically in South India and Sri Lanka, it has been historically quite peaceful. Why? Because of the historical facts of the case. Because we have settled as peaceful traders. And to do trade, you need peace, right? Even the Dutch colonial government, they realized that's why they were trying to be good with the Candian king. Because they were traders, no? The VOC, the Dutch East India Company, was a trading company. And they would even go to the extent of calling the Candian king, Your Majesty's coast waters, right? As if they were guarding the coast for the Candian king. Why? Because they wanted peace, to be conducive to trade. You need peace. You can't have a trade in a war situation, right? Okay. So basically, yeah, what I want to stress is, okay, hold on, sorry. Can I, okay. Okay, right. So basically, trading is very important in any given society. Now, Sinhalese might, basically, some of them look down upon traders, like Atharamadio, like middlemen. But trading played a huge role. Historically, it has been very important, right, for so many aspects, including cultural transmission. Yes. Okay. Now, my friends, you will see in this particular image here, right? Okay, now we have, the Silk Route in Sinhala, Siedamavata. The Silk Route was a land route, basically, a land route. But do you know, there was a Silk Route of the sea, a maritime Silk Route from Arabia to Sri Lanka, South India, and also to the Malay world, Southeast Asia. So there was a maritime Silk Route. And the Muslims, the ancestors of the Moor community, they played a huge role in this trading activity. Now I'll give you just a few examples. Okay. Now the Sinhala word, I'll just show you how it has even impacted on the Sinhala language. Okay, now let's consider the word Mosama or Mosam Sulam. I think you know what it means, Mosama. Mosam Sulam means monsoon. Monsoon winds, right? Or trade winds. This particular word, Mosama, comes from Arabic word, Mausim. Mausim means season. So these were seasonal winds, right? So obviously when it was adapted into Sinhala, it became Mosam Sulam or Mosama. Then another word, okay, in old Sinhala, Club's dictionary of 1892, it mentions this, a navigator or a ship pilot was called Malimia. Now this word Malimia, even though we don't use it now, it comes from Arabic word, malumi. Malumi means an expert or a chief, right? A person who is a head of a particular group, who is an expert. And often it was used for ship captains. Maritime, when the Arabs went in ships, the head or the pilot of the ship was called a malumi. That is why, Vasco da Gama, he sailed east. And because of that, colonialism took place all over Asia. And you know who assisted him? Who assisted Vasco da Gama? A Muslim sailor named Malema Kana. Malema Kana. Now this word Malema comes from the word Malumi, right? So in Sinhala, now let's say, okay, now one thing is Malimia. Another word, a derived word is Malimava, Malima Yantraya. What does it mean? A compass. A compass which the navigator uses to give him directions. They call it a Malimava, Malima Yantraya. And I think that's the symbol of the JVP now, right? Malimava. Right. So they also, you have an Arabic origin. Okay. So now you can see how, earlier Muslims, Moors had gay names. They had gay names. I mean, Vasagam in Sinhala. This Vasagam, in Beerwala, Adudgama, and so on, Muslims 300 years ago, I think somebody mentioned about the Dutch tomboes. If you go to the tomboes, you study them, there is one gay name of the Moors called Malimage. Malimage Aitros Lebbe, for example. Malimage. So the Muslims had the gay name with Malimi, which means the ship captain. Right? So there is ample evidence to show the Moors originally came to Sri Lanka as maritime traders or navigators. They were in the maritime trade, the sea trade. That's how they came to Sri Lanka, the Moors, I mean. Okay, now I will show you all basically how this name Ceylon. Ceylon is a name by which Sri Lanka was known for roughly throughout the entire colonial period, say 400 years. Now this word Ceylon, where does it come from? It comes from Arabic word, Ceylan. Ceylan. Now in fact, Ibn Battuta in his Rihla, he calls Sri Lanka Ceylan. Right? Yakut calls it Ceylan in Mujamul Buldan. Right? Like that, you get a lot of writers. Then Ibn Shadi and Ajay Bal Hind, the wonders of India. Same word, Ceylan for Sri Lanka. And these are words that precede the colonial period, roughly 10 to 14 centuries. And in the colonial period, you will find what? In the colonial period, you will find the country be known by the name Ceylon, Portuguese Ceylao, Dutch Ceylan, English Ceylon. All these words have come from where? The Arabic word Ceylan. Very obvious, because in Arabic uses it first, and later we find the English and the Dutch and the Portuguese using it. What's the conclusion? Inference, very clear. It came from the Arabic. So officially, the country was known as Ceylon until 1972, right? And that was the Arabic word. So I mean, you can see how the outside world looked at Sri Lanka. The outside world knew Sri Lanka through the Arabic language or the Arabic speakers. And even Sri Lankans knew the outside world through Arabic. That's the beauty of it. So you can see what the impact Arabic or Arabian people, Arabs had on the country. For example, okay, let's say Misraya, Egypt. Misraya is in Sinhala. The Sinhala we know, before the English influence came, right? It's not Egypt tour. It was in classical Sinhala, it is Misraya. Now Misraya is an Arabic word, Misr. Even the Quran mentions it. Then for blacks, we said Kapiri or Kabisi. Kapiri comes from the word kafir. Okay, that's another thing, right? Because they were unbelievers before they came here. And Kabisi. Kabisi was used for basically black people. Before the colonials brought in the slaves. Now Kabisi, this word Kabisi comes from the Arabic word Habashi. Habashi, right? Kabisi comes from Arabic word Habashi, Abyssinian. Now Bilal al-Habashi, right? So this is how the Sri Lankans knew the outside world through the Arabic medium. And the Europeans or the outsiders knew Sri Lanka through Arabs. So both ways you can see what the profound influence the Arabs had on our country, right? That's a fact. No one can deny that. Okay. Why it's not coming? Okay. Okay. Now I'll just give a few examples. Okay. Now, Ratalaya. In Sinhala we say Ratalaya. Arabic, it's Arabic word, ratul. Ratul is Arabic word meaning something roughly about 450 grams. And this, all that, Sinhala Ratale comes from this Arabic word ratul. So you can see how much the Arabs have influenced our country. Okay. And now, okay, we suppose, generally, we think the Portuguese, we look at the Portuguese as a spillover from the Crusaders, that they hated the Muslims. They did a lot of terrible things to the Muslims, no doubt about it. At the same time, you will find Albuquerque, a Portuguese governor. You can read it out, what he's saying about the Moors, who they considered their enemies, their rivals in trade, enemies in faith. But see what he has to say about the Moors. They are of great benefit to Sri Lanka's commerce, for they are all traders and factors in the vessels which go to the other coast and come from there, and through them is maintained the trading goods and foodstuffs taken to the island, from which accrues much benefit to the residents of Ceylon. So the Portuguese themselves acknowledge what an important role the Moors played in the economy of even in the colonial economy, right? Even in the colonial economy. So this is the fact, and which no one can deny because these are all documented sources. Please, just give me just 10 minutes more. Okay. So the Moors basically they supplied, all the essentials. For example, in the colonial period, it was the coastal area, and in the middle of it, we had the Candian kingdom, right? It was isolated. There was no way, right? The coastal items can get into the kingdom. But the Moors were the ones who actually supplied the basic essentials, whether it's salt, whether it's caravana, dry fish, clothes, jewelry, all that, they supplied to the interior, bypassing the colonial regime, right? So even there, you can see the influence now, even the Badda community, right? They went to the isolated villages and supplied people their basic essentials. Right, now you can see what Gavni Puncheva is saying. This is verbatim, I have quoted from his book. Now what is he saying? The only trader who came to the homes of Sinhalese villagers of Galloya until a few years ago was the Moor peddler who came in a bullock cart, the ship of the jungle. The ship of the jungle. Now we say the camel is the ship of the desert. The camel is the ship of the desert. Now he is calling this the Tavalam trading, which the Moors engaged in, the ship of the jungle. So you can see how far the Muslims penetrated to the hinterland and interior and supplied the basic needs to the ordinary people, right? And including the Baddas. They survived because of the Muslims, right? They could have survived with their jungle produce. But when it came to other things like supply of salt and other basic essentials, it were the Moors, including the arrowheads which they hunted, came from the Muslim traders, right? That is why Spittle says, forest folk do not travel far. 10-mile radius is the ambit, that's the maximum they travel. The Moors, on the other hand, penetrate to the furthest interiors, carrying commodities suited to the simplest needs of the villagers. It is difficult to picture what the condition of the jungle dwellers would be, but for the itinerant Moors, these ships of the Wani, right? You can see what a tribute, right? People like Spittle are paying the Moors, which is now not known. People think we are just traders and all that, right? Basically other medias who are just involved in exploiting people, but they played a huge role. And then, when it comes to culture, I'll try to give me another 10 minutes, please. when it comes to culture, trading items, trading in jewelry, whatever, it's just not trade, it influences production. Now, Tirakasiri, Tirakasiri, he wrote a book, Sri Lanka Paramparika Shilpi Gang, the hereditary craft villages of Sri Lanka. Hereditary craft villages of Sri Lanka. He wrote a book in Sinhala, and he shows how the trading of the Muslims, trading of the Moor community or the Muslims, how it impacted on the designs, the jewelry designs of different Sinhalese villages, artisan villages. Now the Navandana caste was involved in basically gold jewelry. And basically they transmitted this jewelry to other areas which were isolated. And it influenced them to adopt certain designs. So you can see the impact, no? It's huge. Okay, let's come to the culture items now. Okay, Robert Knox. In 1681, he wrote a book called Historical Relation of Ceylon. In that, he depicts the Sinhalese, the Radalayas, the high-class Sinhalese wearing caps, right? So I feel if you look at the design and so on, this originally started as a Muslim introduction, a more introduction to the culture or the culture of I would say to the society of the Kandyan kingdom. Because there is no other way it could have come into play in such an environment. The other thing is, okay, when it comes to, in certain temples, we have this drawings, paintings in Sinhala called Bitusituam. Bitusituam are basically wall paintings, right? Bitusituam. So those are wall paintings in the temples. Right, but please, I need to just complete this. Okay. So in the Bitusituam paintings, you will see the women being shown, being depicted with what? The Mottakirya, which is a head veil, probably introduced by the Muslims, probably introduced by the Moors, right? Because this was something the Muslims only used. But we see in Buddhist temple paintings, this being depicted. So what does it say? It shows some influence, right? Okay, then I quickly run into it. Okay, in basically the Uva province, certain Kandyan areas, they, the Sinhala Goviyas, generally they wore the amude, that, loincloth, a white loincloth when they are in the fields. But now there are books like Uve Vitti, then Mahavali Mahavangsiya. Those refer to the Goviyas, the Sinhala farmers of that time, wearing a field trousers called Saruvalaya. Saruvalaya. Now Saruvalaya, in the eastern province, you find the same thing, Sirwal, right? And this comes from the Arabic word Sirwal, which means a trouser. That word is mentioned even in the Alf Layla wa Layla, the 1001 Nights. It's an old Arabic word. Okay, next word, Kasav. Kasav. In Kandy, I have come across a Kasav topia. Kasav topia, lace, a red cap like a fez with lace work. Kasav topia. Now this also this lady in the sari, you can see the lace, gold lace work. It comes from Arabic word, kasav. The single word kasav, gold embroidery or gold lacing, comes from Arabic word kasav. Okay, now coming to the Malay contribution. I think you may know about it, right? The sarama, in Tamil saram, singular sarama, comes from a Malay word, sarum or sarong, which means, you know what it is. Okay, Karabu. Now, earlier Sinhala women had the todu, the big ear stud, and so on. Now, the word Karabu for fancy earrings comes from a Malay word, Krabu, right, or Kerabu. So that's the Malay introduction, a culture item that was introduced by the Malays. Then coming to the Mukutti, the nose ring. Okay, we think, basically the nose ring is a Hindu thing, right? We suppose it's a Hindu thing. Not at all. The nose ring or nose ornaments were introduced by the Arabs to India. Very clear. Until recently, Arab women wore the nose ring, even Syria, Iraq, everywhere. We have enough evidence. So even now, Dr. Altaka, he mentions it was unknown in India throughout the entire Hindu period. If you go to the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, whatever, you don't find a reference to a nose ring. Right? It came with the Muslims, with the Mughals, and even before that. around the Delhi Sultanate, which was around the 8th or 9th century. It was introduced during that time. And it became part of Indian culture, right? Right. So it became very much part of Indian culture. And then there's another ornament called the septum ring, the pulakku, which comes from another Arabic word, bulak. It's an Egyptian word, or actually Egyptian Arabic, bulak. This is how the word pulakku came to be. Okay. Then see our the sweetmeats. Just a few, not much, just a few. Alua. Alua comes from Arabic word halwa. Very obvious. Right? We have enough evidence how it came, all that. And then saruvat. In Arabic we say sharbat or sharba. Sharba, something is drunk. Halwa means something sweet, right? So that became alua. And sharba or sharbat means something drunk. This became Sinhala saruvat. Okay, now think of let's go to the Malay culture items. Pickle acharu. Acharu, I mean, this is something we take for granted, right? It's something we think is distinctly Sinhalese, right? We all think, acharu is a Sinhalese item. But it's a Malay word. It's a Malay word, achar. Achar is a Malay word. It came from the Malays. Then sambola.
There are 4 processes.
Right. I'll just give me 2 minutes. Sambola. I'm almost done. Sambola. This from a Malay word again. Sambal. Now the whole sambola we make, all that is from a Malay word. Sambal, right? And then, dodol. In Hambantanawa we make kalu dodol, and even, it's a common known Sinhala sweetmeat. That is also a Malay introduction. The word itself is Malay. Dodol is a Malay word. I have had a friend gave me durian dodol once. It's a pure Malay word. Then bibikan. They make it for the Sinhala alu tawud and all. That's also a Malay item. Then sinakku. Sinakku, the Sinhalese have, in the olden days, they made it, even now to some extent. It comes from another Malay word, chinakwe, which means Chinese cake. The Chinese made it for the New Year, So it was borrowed into Malay, and they gave it to us, sinakku. Okay. Probably also kaum. It's not that I'm trying to claim for the Malays we did so much, no. But even kaum is very close to a Malay item, kue cucur. It's very close. It's the same thing, right? So we can just think where it came from. In Sinhala, kaum means something simply eaten. There is no specific name. Kaum means something simply eaten. Okay. Biryani. So that's a common thing, we all know that. And that was introduced by the Indian Muslims. Right? Biryani means something fried or grilled. So that became our biryani. Vatlappang. Vatlappang also is a very popular Sinhala item. Not Sinhala, it's a Sri Lankan item. Today it has gained the distinction of being not just a Muslim item. You see, Vatlappang is even made in cups. It's commercialized and sold in the shops. Right? So this is like even biryani, same thing. Even KFC is making, right? So it has become a national item, these things. Okay. Godam roti is a pure Muslim introduction. Godam roti. And even kottu roti. These are Muslim introductions to the country. And almost done. Muscat. Muscat is actually, it came from the capital of Oman, Muscat. Right, brother. Okay. Right, brother. Okay. Right. Okay, and Bombay Mutar. That's also another thing. We have enough evidence. Muslims are the ones who introduced to Sri Lanka, right? Then Sarungalaya, the kites. Kites are basically a Malay introduction. Kites, right? In Tamil there's a pattam. Now the word Sarungalaya comes from a Malay word. Okay, and Rabana. Rabana is another pure Malay word. All these, what does it say? When you study the language, it shows from where these items came, from the Malays, right? So we are just taking these things as for granted as single items. No, these have come from all over the world, and particularly the Arabs and the Malays have basically influenced Sri Lankan culture in a big way, which we take for granted. But we should let this be known to our people of other communities, so they know how much we have impacted on them, right? And I think that's it. Okay, thank you so much.